Good morning, vinyl community, crime community. I'm going to read out a small chapter here. It's called 1986 Letter from Manson to Neil Emmons, prior to the release of Manson in his own words. The complete outcome of the book's publication will be much more good than bad. I also feel if you have done a service in as much as your words may save a lot of people a lot of steps. The authored books have sent a lot of people on a wild goose chase, and the efforts may help to put a lot of people on a better track. I feel the public is so misled that their muttonhead lops. Maybe your work will undo the lopsided points of view, and even if they love to hate you, what you have put forward, I've learned that bad trips make a person stronger for the next step on the roads of their own lives. I've never read but one book written about the Manson episode, The Garbage People. I've stated others, but before I let them put that junk on my brains, I go crazy, mad, I just never read them. I'm not going to read your either. I feel the relationship we have is beyond the money games and the public peapods. I don't want to affect my personal feelings I have for you. You're a pro, and I know it will be your best form. I've never did like the way you played ball anyway. Your legs are too short. The catcher only let you play because you were his pet. But you always had style and class and were supposed to bring all of the brothers. I've known and I've seen you all as a bum or tramp, but I do even if you become rich and a well-known writer, to me, you're just still a good boy. And you have held yourself with respect, and I have tried to reflect that to you because it's your turn. I never liked you that much. You were okay, but I can't turn my back on the fact that you are a man among all men I've known. I've paid for the favor, and you are truly owe me nothing. I've been privileged to know you as much as two people can try to understand each other, yet always alone in the interims with their own judgments. Few cons will ever tell you what they think about you, and I don't know why I'm saying this. You have had a struggle with me, and I've been against this book all along. You have prevailed, and I hope it keeps turning up right for you. Cut the cards, I'll deal. Keep this letter to yourself. I want no one to see me respecting anyone. Respect nowadays is looked at as a weakness by the people who only respect fear. A proposed introduction to an unpublished book by Lynette Fromme, 1977. As long as a man is tucked away in an asylum prison grave, you can say anything you want about him, anything. You can lie in more movies and bogus books for money. You can pretend to play like him. You can orgy with your awkward paws and dance your frantic feet off, joking about his suffering, draw very little life from his blood, but you have not the soul to face him. He's a genius, and you don't recognize it. In a ragged coat with no tails for you to ride on or in secret, his majesty could blind you. The first time I saw him dance, I ran out of the room. He's in motion and sounds, not words, and he's hidden because he gave everything he was asked for. People said that I was Manson's main woman. People who didn't know that Manson repeated all of the women around him as one. His main woman is the truth. She comes from anyone or anything, and he with her always, in life or death. He married her in a dark hole. He knew alone. 3 grades of school, 30 years in a cage. Pulled out of solitary confinement. Dreader a reflection and the balance of whatever group he's born into the imbalanced world of woman's law in 1967. Carrying truth over the threshold. He met thousands of young men in the streets. I was one of them. I stood our words up in truth. He never broke out of anarchy. He knew what anarchy would do to the earth. He has been treated like he has by people too proud to back and too scared to see. He was thinking earth balance before I was born, and in the soul that everyone will know that everyone has done to air, land, water, and the soul of the earth. Everyone has wanted to make him small, yet a monster stupid, with hypnotic powers, a fascist and a commie, a prejudiced nigger lover, a macho punk, Charlie the Christ and the devil. Or on the opposite side of everything, we told the world Manson is a reflection. Yet even President Nixon, a lawyer, publicly declared Manson guilty directly or indirectly before the trial was ever over and set his own downfall. Believe it or not, Rome stumbled over the truth in one bastard. A letter to a journal from Squeaky. It has been requesting a tape recorder since he was first incarcerated in 1969. This is the only way any of us can get a clear picture of Manson and what he has to say. His sight and awareness is and always has been far ahead of the mass consciousness. And for this, he has been known historically geniuses. He is forced to suffer for what others do not understand. He broke no law. Imagine how it feels to be under all the people who walk free of walk, swim, and fly in space, but do not know how to keep it free, clean, or balanced. It put me in another way. Say that you have been sitting for 30 years thinking about a problem, not necessarily straining, but concentrating diligently on what you want or hope for, but it is. Say that you have come to understand the problem in depth and have, in effect, become it. And know how to solve the problem. Now you watch the parades and processions of hopeful and despairing people walking around your tomb. They are all looking for the answer to the problems you know so well. They are all celebrating the search, all mourning the problem, analyzing and disguising it. You wave, but they don't look down to see you, even as they proceed by your own funerals. When you have exhausted yourself yelling and felt the death of millions you have not heard, and watch those who think they are too good to look at you. Push their own children in the graves before them and watch the children grow angry and the land more destroyed and the air and the water more poisoned, and men and women and politicians and gurus vying for poisoning of power over something rather than the God-given grace to love and care for what supports life, and much more the sight that I could ever write on paper than you see what Charlie Manson sees alone. Everyone in the family put your own life there. The balance of the Christian mind is different than that of the Hindu. You say that you were impressed that I am articulate. Every one of the family is articulate. Exceptionally bright reports, on the contrary, are part of the people's need to look down on something and someone, be it a criminal, a different class or race of people, or a simple child. It is also the result of standard of sophistication measured by one's ambitions and finesse for acquiring money. The murders themselves were meant and purposeful. They were responded. They needed not be sensationalized, but rather than listening to the defendants themselves, lies, distortions, perversions, and others of the public's own cravings were subdued for the truth. At that time, they were forced to accept attorneys if they were forced to wear disguises. They were forced to remain silent while the parade of characters marched around the courtroom, taking about things they little understood. The Bible, sex orgies, Christ and the devil, LSD, ESP, the Manson family, and the murders themselves. The Supreme Court later handed down a decision interpreting the U.S. Constitution as giving defendants the undeniable right to repent themselves in court, as long as they conducted themselves within a reasonable accordance of court procedure. And when I said that, they were forced, and I mean they were required, and under their requirement in the situation determining the balance of their lives and the lives of many others, there was a tremendous amount of pressure. I do not articulate crying injustices and dramatizing much of what the soft American public consider to be hardships. At the same time, I can empathize. While sympathy towards the problem can often make weakness, empathy can also call up strength. The public here could not even face their own children, let alone emphasize them. They did not even ask to understand the young people in the so-called Manson family, who they were sending to the gas chamber. Rather, they blamed the one man who was not even raised in the society for which fostered those killings I walked out of my trial. Sandra Good and Susan Murphy walked out of their trial. We did not put on our defenses because until all the family gets a chance to explain, none of us will. As a family, we can see a new money system where the money can work like a god for the people rather than people working like dogs for the money and not receiving the balance of healthful experience full of life that the money exchange is supposed to buy. Until then, the country runs itself into the ground from what it refuses to face. Just as you can yourself can see no solution to the world problem, and you can see no one who does see. When Nixon points a gun at Ford, someone says, see, the Manson mine is miles over the UN in Rome, and that is the United States government, and it's been sold 9 times literally already. I could take more time with this letter to be academic, but that is not my intention. From what I have seen, most journalists would sell their own lords or child's heartbeat rather than getting on their knees to answer for their own mankind, rather than conceding that you don't really know the connection between life and death and why people are intent in moving toward self-destruction in the air, water, land, and food and thought. It is by no means only journalists and media people who demonstrate this. And I am not condemning you. Everyone has done that for themselves. The final thing is the family that slays together stays together, and I'm going to save that for tomorrow. It's enough about Lynette and Charlie, and I hope you're learning from my channel what the truth is. If you enjoy my channel, like and subscribe, please.